And then Arsène Wenger comes in, right? A man they quoted kind of saying, obviously he made huge gains with psychology, nutrition, chewing to win, alcohol is poison. Obviously comes in 1996, headline Arsène Who, and he revolutionises. And he's a man after your own heart in a lot of principles. That must have been quite a nice vindication, wasn't it?
Well, the first time it's interesting because when we went to Henlow Grange for a couple of weeks, we were there 3 or 4 days, no game for 2 weeks, and it's Nigel Winterburn's birthday. And I was sent along to ask him, could we go out? But I wasn't really asking him, I was telling him. When I said to him, boss, can we go for a drink? He was like, Martin, this is poison. You cannot, it's a disaster. You cannot drink, So I said, boss, no, we don't play for 2 weeks. I know, but you cannot drink. So I said, well, I'm not really telling, asking you. I'm telling you, these guys are going to go out if you like it or not.
Yeah.
So I'll try and police it. Yes, you will. I hold you personally responsible. Yeah. So I take everyone out.
That is I take everyone loose cannons.
Yeah.
But we go to the local pub, Mike, and Paul Merson goes into the pub and he does a forward roll in the middle of the pub and he gets an imaginary gun out of a holster and he goes right round the pub and he's like this. And then he blows it, puts it back in and says, right, let's get the drinks in, yeah? And all the locals were looking at us like we were the lunatics from the asylum have just walked in. And we're all Arsenal players. That's the sort of, and then 2 hours later, I said, right, lads, drink up, we're going. No, we're not going. I came back to the hotel with 2 players, out of 15. And then Wenger's going berserk. So this was sort of a wake-up call. Now, Wenger was straight away, it was a good advert for him because he could see what happened. He could see the disarray. He could see the ill discipline. And he thought, right, okay, we don't go away again. The wives will police these players. We don't go abroad. We don't go to hotels. Keep them at home and then they don't drink. And that's pretty well what happened, yeah.
Now for a message brought to you by American Express. We all know how tricky it can be to find the right work-life balance.
Amex understands that it's essential to work hard and play hard, so we wanted to share a bit about American Express business cards. With an Amex business card, you can earn points on your business transactions and then use those points to switch off and enjoy some downtime.
For instance, you can earn points on everyday office purchases like furniture, a new laptop, or even your team days out, and then use those points to help you unwind and recharge.
Whether it's a brand new set of DJ decks for Hask or some shiny new golf clubs for me, or even booking that once-in-a-lifetime trip to watch the Lions on tour in Australia, the American Express business cards help you achieve that perfect life balance.
For more information, search Amex Business Card. Terms and annual fees apply. 18 plus, subject to status. And just how good was he in that regard? Just was his revolutionary as he says? Because he came in and spoke to the England team, and I asked a question. I said, I thought fantastic, obviously legend. But I asked him, I said, in your book, obviously everything kind of comes out of sort of a master plan and well thought out. How much of it was by the skin of your teeth or by the flip of a coin, or how much of it was a part of a master plan? You've lived through it and seen it. Was he a genius? How good was it to work with him?
Do you know that a lot of the guys were like, well, what does he do, right? But what he did was he empowered us. He made us feel without me in the team, we don't win. Without you, James, Mike, we're nothing. And that is everything. And it was just the way that he
showed purpose.
It's such a belief. The very first day he gets there, he says, right, guys, he said, up on the wall, you're all going to get a 15-minute meeting. Now, what other manager had ever done that for me? We sit down, we tell him, right, what we think. So he's telling us, I sat down in front of him and he said, right, okay, Martin, I've watched all the videos, 35 videos. You've been brilliant. Exactly the same again. You play for me. That's all I want. Oh, fantastic, boss. Yeah, I really believe in you. I don't think you're getting enough credit at this football club. That's going to change. And by the way, go and see David Dean. You need a new contract. We're not paying you enough money. And I'm like, fucking hell. What a manager, do you know? And so every player got that. 15 minutes. Started with the oldest player, worked it down to the youngest player. We all got, but it felt like we were on trial then.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the managers come in and they've got this big Churchillian speech and it's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they lose the first game and then it's the fucking same again.
Yeah.
But this guy was like...
It's battle mode.
Yeah. It was like, he was putting us in charge really by getting us to tell him how we felt. And then he was, telling us what he felt. But strangely, he was positioning the pressure to us, right? But this guy's giving me the tools to do it. And the chew to win, the sip, the stretching, the training was much more intense.
Did anyone straight away from day one just just conflict with him, butt heads with him, like just straight away. Like obviously, imagine from what I know about you, because he's kind of a bit of a motto here that he said kind of was a man should have one watch, one car, one wife. That I don't know you that well, but I see that's kind of your vibe. Like, he was
that
like
resonated with me.
What I mean is it resonates with you. There will be people in that change room that go look at him and go, "You don't know what you're fucking talking about." Like, was anyone in particular just riled up straight away? Because I've seen people on day one with coaches blow up. Like we famously Danny Cipriani falling out with Mike Capp during World Cup camp. We've had other people that have just, Josh Lucy in that World Cup. We were doing some fitness stuff, and he didn't quite get his chest down. And they said to him, if you do it again, you're gonna have to do it again. He didn't get his chest down. He gave one more chance.
He delegated the people that were messaging. It wasn't like your dad. It's not like your dad telling you so many different things. After a while, you don't want to listen. The dietitian, Dr. Rouget came in, a separate guy. We had Philip Boxell came in, was a body doctor, incredible guy. So all the messaging's coming from different people. So it's easier then to take on board, Yeah. But you're intelligent guys. You'd have done it. You'd have got into line because you realized this was actually going to extend your career. He was such a nice guy. My biggest worry was, do nice guys win things? Because he keeps shaking my hand. Because he doesn't recognise me. Maybe he thinks the English all look the same. So 3 times, boss, I'd say, that's the 3rd time you said good morning. Oh, Martin, sorry, I don't know who I'm talking to half the time. And Ray Parlour was sort of playing on this Clouseau thing.
Ray,
I don't know if you've got, we talk about that in the book, and Ray affectionately is watching the Clouseau movies because the gaffer was a little bit prone to the occasional, trip up or
accident, was it?
Yeah, ended up in the goal one day, was passing the goal and his 2 feet end up in the goal. And they had to cut him down as we ran past. But he laughed at himself.
Oh, really?
So there was this nature about...
Who was Cato? Was anyone jumping out?
Yeah, that was Jono, the kit man who was running
we just
around.
Run out and jump out. Because you got someone out who would actually wind him up the whole time. Because Eddie Jones was kind of a bit like that. Like he'd trip over, he'd have his little dog Annie running around, would run on the training field. Someone would bump into him, knock him over a tackle bag and stuff, and he'd be the first one to put up in the meeting.
Yeah, there was a moment in the dressing room when we played away at Crystal Palace Stadium. It was against Wimbledon, and the floodlights failed. And there was some suggestion it was a syndicate or something, did it deliberately. We came in at half time and there was a stanchion in the way and the boss was behind it. And Ray Parlour, who's a bit of a joker, Ray had said to the boss, they said, "What is it?" And Ray went, "It's a bomb." Yeah. And the boss went, "It's a bomb." And then he realised it then that and we didn't watch any Clouseau movies after that.
but he obviously, how shrewd was he? Because there is the bit where he sold Anelka for 22 million because she needed a new training facility, built a new training facility, and got Thierry Henry. So he obviously knew.
We didn't want to lose Anelka. We did not want to, but his knowledge of Henry was magnificent. He was a player that came there, and this guy was so talented. I remember on the pitch, because as you become a senior player, you remember when you were younger, a senior player said something, "Mike, what a tackle that was," or "I really like the way you sidestepped there," or "that kick, maybe kicking wasn't your game, Mike," right? But someone says something to you and it resonates with you, and you think, okay, that's going to be. So when I became that player, and maybe I didn't ever become that player, I told him, I'm going to tell my grandchildren that I played with you when you scored your first goal. And he's running after me on the pitch saying, "What are you on about, grandchildren?" I said, no. It's that, you're that good. I'll be wanting to say I played with you all these years later. And it's funny, he reminds me of that when I see him, because he didn't really quite realise how good he was, really, because he had all the talent, but he didn't have necessarily come from Italy. It wasn't quite working for him. So we had to bring that out of him. But that was the group. That's what Wenger was about, making sure I'm helping you help everyone else. And that's what I found that part of my personality changed completely when I was in that environment with Arsène Wenger, most of all.
I was going to ask that. So I'm just going to paint a picture here. So I imagine you come back to Arsenal initially, individuals, quite a lot of ego, obviously people doing kind of different things, especially with the drinking culture. Arsène Wenger comes in, and it seems like he created an environment where you're almost self-policing and you believe into it, and it's about the team as opposed to the individuals. And actually, it's a lot more of a wholesome environment to encourage others to get the best out of you. Because we've had that before. 2015 World Cup team, 2011. Again, even in the coaching staff of our England team and stuff like that, people were quite individual. We had egos in there. I think by the time Eddie came in, he basically created an environment where you were all empowered. He did that, put your arm around players and said, and get the best out of you. Here's how good you could be. You deserve to do this. Go and speak to so-and-so and they're going to help you. But we also found ourselves being able to talk to other players and encourage them out of them or put an arm around them, which is quite unique because the best leadership environments are the ones that are self-policing, where you've got 15 leaders, 11 leaders. Is that kind of what he created with that?
Well, what he did was, you could say selfishly, he suddenly brought in lots of French players. But we didn't say, we were smart now. We didn't say, not another French player, do you know? We were like, well, okay, we'll embrace them. We're going to help them because like there was an Arsenalness running through the group. Everybody was like, had made their name with Arsenal, do you know? Right. And I'd come through as a kid and it was like, remember who you are, where you are and who you represent. And it was like the Arsenalness we gave to the foreign players. In fact, you could call it an Englishness, you know. They won the World Cup that year, that first season, Patrick Vieira and Manu Petit. And I think that they stole some of the Englishness that we had because we were always up for it. Wenger was quite lucky because George Graham had formulated a lot of our personalities as we were as people. Yeah. And suddenly this guy was coming in, you know, where the glass was always half full, really. Oh, sorry, half empty with George.
Yeah.
But half
like an Alex Payne, he's very much like that.
And so suddenly George was like, Jane, you can't do that. Just do what you're good at and just fucking give it to someone who can play. Yeah. Right? And I didn't like that. No. When Wenger came, it was no, you can play. You can. Martin, start to play. You pass the ball. And I thought, wow, I'm now full as a person. I can actually do everything. It makes me it's more fulfilling and more rewarding. And in a way, I was winning for me now, not winning to stop, you know, just to stop someone else from winning. You know, it was a different feeling of experiencing. And Wenger definitely opened up our minds to the ones who wanted to listen. Well, look, I won, 10 major trophies in the end, all because of listening to Arsène Wenger.